closing is the sale. So it depends on what date we're looking for. What is the date that we felt that we should sell the asset, or the date of the closing? So, but
well, given your explanation, it would be the one that dated the closing that I am interested in knowing.
well, it's in June. I can't give you the exact date, but I know I looked at it yesterday. It's in June. The latter part.
No, I'm not looking for the date. I'm just trying to find out if every single member voted yes.
I'll have to go back and look at the count, but I know it had to have been an unanimous vote.
Not necessarily.
Well, not necessarily a majority vote. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, exactly, it's majority, but I want to know if it was unanimous.
Okay.
Okay. So if I could get that at some point. And the other question was, what's the status of Coakley Bay property?
Bay property, that's gonna come up in the session this morning. I have something that I want to discuss with board. So, you know, if you're here, you'll understand exactly what we're talking about. Okay?
Okay, and the last one was your renters. The ones for your building in St. Thomas, the building in Haven Site Mall, and are they all up to date?
Same thing as part of my report. That will come up
okay.
in about, half an hour.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moorhead. I'm saying any individuals comments or questions?
Presentation.
Would anyone have
Well,
Just in general.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
None?
Okay.
Trustees, last month, the members of GRUF was supposed to make a presentation at the regular board meeting, which was postponed, and they were unable to come to the rescheduled meeting. So we rescheduled them for this meeting, and they're here today, and I'd like for you to sit and listen and let them do their presentation. Todd, you have the floor.
Where should we sit?
Excuse me, could we get a copy of that sent over to St. Croix?
I would say, you're working on it.
Thank you.
Go ahead. You ready? Go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Wilbur Calendar, and members of the Government Employees Retirement System Board, Administrator Ms. Dartston Nibs, legal counsels, all of the GRS employees, ladies and gentlemen here present. I am Jeanette Smith Barry, and today I speak to you as a member of the organization Government Retirees United for Fairness Incorporated. Other members present will now introduce themselves, starting with those seated up here.
chairperson of Government Retirees United United.
You have to, excuse me, she'll have to speak up. I didn't get the name for the record, please.
Can't hear.
Me or?
Okay.
The other lady.
Okay. Government. My name is Helen Hart, chairperson for Government Retirees United for Fairness.
Barbara Isaac, board member.
Tito Francis, board member. Colonel Lawson, legal counsel.
Karen Blyden, board member.
Lottie Van Holten, Lockhart, secretary.
Can you repeat your name again?
Maureen Richardson, board member.
Repeat your name again.
Lottie Van Holten, Lockhart, secretary. Thank you.
Maureen Richardson, board member.
Lola Roberts Richards, board member.
Denise Brun Joseph, board member.
Laura A. Isaac, board member.
Thank you. This entity, which goes by the acronym GROF, was organized in 2013 and is comprised of retirees who have served the government of the Virgin Islands for over 20 years, many for over 30 and 40 years, who have contributed to the government employees retirement system and who are now seeking to maintain a decent standard of living using our annuities promised through legislation. We gave our time and service to this territory with a vested interest in the GERS. We have organized for three principal purposes: to represent and promote the interests of government retirees, to promote our rights and benefits as VI government retirees, and to do our part to protect and preserve the Virgin Islands government employees retirement system. Members of GROF are here today because GROF is gravely concerned about the immediate and long-term future of our retirement system, which is key to the very survival of retirees throughout this territory. We are here because we are aware of the pending insolvency of GERS, and we strongly believe that there is a way forward that can address the pending insolvency, but that requires support, commitment, collaboration, and leadership from GERS. GROF started its efforts in early 2017 with our attempt to help make GERS solvent by sponsoring, promoting, and funding an initiative via Section 12 of the revised Organic Act to address the unfunded liability. We had gathered over half the signatures needed to have the initiative become law, but we were forced to abandon the initiative after Hurricanes Irma and Maria struck the islands. GROF had incurred expenses for legal advice, drafting of documents, travel, media advertisements, and other professional services. With in-kind services and paid professional services, we spent over $10,000. In 2018, we renewed our efforts to help make GERS solvent, and we have now reached a point where we must directly address you, the members of the GERS board. Members, GROF wishes to express our full support for a congressional petition seeking return of long overdue gasoline excise taxes to the Virgin Islands. Consequently, come before you today to request from the GERS.
Hello?
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 Go ahead.
We missed a whole heap.
It went quiet.
Why?
I don't know. Let's go back now.
We
So
missed
you're hearing us now?
Yes.
Which part you did miss?
What's the last thing you heard?
When she began to make her state the request.
After the hurricanes.
Members wishes to express our full support.
Okay.
Okay.
for Congress.
GROF wishes to express our full support for a congressional petition seeking return of long overdue gasoline excise taxes to the Virgin Islands. Consequently, we have come before you today to request from this GERS board buy-in, commitment to the effort, and needed financial support to help ensure success of the initiative to have long overdue gasoline excise taxes returned to the Virgin Islands. Members of the board, we are convinced that our retirement annuities are being threatened. The threats of financial collapse of the system have already caused undue stress and anxiety. And despite numerous campaign pledges and proposals of the last election, the situation at GERS, described as imminent pending insolvency, still seems dire today. We all realize that the only answer is substantial infusion of capital to keep our retirement system solvent. Hence, we ask for your commitment and your financial support in an effort to petition Congress to act in our favor, applying Section 28A of the 1954 Revised Organic Act, which states, the Secretary of the Treasury shall determine the amount of all taxes imposed by and collected during the fiscal year under the Internal Revenue Laws of the United States on articles produced in the Virgin Islands and transported to the United States. The amount so determined, less 1% unless the estimated amount of refunds and credits shall be subject to disposition as follows. There shall be transferred and paid over to the Virgin Islands from the amount so determined a sum equal to the total amount of the revenue collected by the government of the Virgin Islands during the fiscal year as certified by the government comptroller of the Virgin Islands. That is the same language that has been used to return rum cover over monies to the Virgin Islands and was applied when the watch factory was operational. Gruff contends that the application of this same language should be used for return of excise taxes on gasoline manufactured in the Virgin Islands. These monies, we contend, should be used primarily for the GERS system. The matter of the return of excise taxes on gasoline shipped to the mainland was researched and proposed decades ago, as evidenced by a presentation to the 23rd legislature prepared by then retiring presiding judge of the Territorial Court, Judge Vern A. Hodge. He argued convincingly that a unified effort to pursue this effort through Congress could yield substantial revenue. Back then, he asserted that in just 3 years prior, the federal government had collected almost $1 billion in gasoline excise taxes. Further, just last year, Senator Stedman Hodges' bill was passed to urge the governor and the delegate to join the 33rd legislature in petitioning Congress for an amendment to the Revised Organic Act to amend the language to provide clearly that a portion of the excise tax collected on gasoline that was produced in the Virgin Islands be returned to the treasury of the government of the Virgin Islands. Senator Hodge provided data that showed that by applying the law, revenue figures could total over $12 billion just between the years 1990 and 2000. Gruff agrees that this effort has the potential to help save GERS, and Gruff is convinced that the time is ripe to push again to get what these Virgin Islands are entitled to and what is desperately needed to improve our financial situation. Gruff has outlined a course of action that requires the full support of Virgin Islanders here and abroad in this effort to petition Congress to honor the provisions of the 1954 Revised Organic Act, which provides for the Virgin Islands to receive economic benefit of all products manufactured in the VI and shipped to the U.S. mainland. Our draft congressional petition states, we, the undersigned United States citizens, support the Virgin Islands of the United States of America in this congressional effort to allow for any United States tax on petroleum imports from Hess Oil Virgin Islands Corporation and Provenza to be paid to the Virgin Islands as intended by Section 28A of the 1954 Revised Organic Act. We recognize that this course of action involves Herculean efforts to gather signed petitions, develop a public media campaign, make use of the internet, secure additional legal help, and garner complete territorial support. Funding is also needed to gather information on the history of the Revised Organic Act and its application, to canvass lobbyists in Washington, D.C., for dissemination of information, for a full-time writer for petitions, and for someone to manage an online platform, as signatures are sought nationwide through the internet using facebook.com, change.org, and ipetitions.com. We will need the help and support of Virgin Islanders here and abroad to advocate for our congressional petition, asking Congress to honor and revise the provisions of Section 28A of the 1954 Revised Organic Act. With adequate funding, this initiative can be properly executed to improve the likelihood that possibly billions of dollars due to the Virgin Islands are returned, especially to provide GERS with needed funds to ensure solvency. GRUF anticipates that research, signed positions, and draft options for proposed legislation will be ready by this year, September 2020, after the two national parties have selected their candidates for the 2020 national elections. GERS buy-in, public input, and support from our elected leaders are absolutely necessary, as well as the legal, medical, and environmental research that must support a solid, well-drafted summary of the territory's entitlement, which should be presented to the presidential candidates and their teams. We are requesting that this GERS board vote to support and fund these efforts. A list of estimated expenses for this undertaking is attached. Please see the following page 4 on the estimated list of expenses that you should have in your possession. GRUF has estimated that with media, TV, radio, the newspapers, the internet, and the petitions, as well as supplies and materials, would total about $25,000. That using part-time student employment on both St. Thomas and St. Croix for 9 months, and other miscellaneous items in the plan could total $25,000. For consultants for internet services and data collection services, estimated total $15,000. And for legal, medical, and environmental research and attorneys' fees, we estimate $45,000 for a grand total of approximately $110,000. Please note that GRUF's plan for utilizing GERS as a funding source would allow GERS to issue all checks. Our only request is that we be allowed to approve the monthly invoices for services prior to issuance of checks. And a full report of monthly expenses will be submitted every month. Conclusion. Members of the GERS board, Mr. Nibbs, administrator, we, the representative members of Government Retirees United for Fairness Incorporated, respectfully request your favorable consideration of our request to give full support and funding to this effort to petition Congress for return of gasoline excise taxes to the Virgin Islands as prescribed in the Revised Organic Act. We have seen no other viable proposal with the potential to turn the tide on the decline of our retirement system, and we are deeply concerned. We believe that you too are deeply concerned. As Virgin Islanders, this threat of insolvency Added to the serious issues related to our healthcare, education, public safety, financial stability, and high cost of living here, is creating much anxiety, and not just for retirees either. Given that, we assure you agree with us that there is a grave sense of urgency in this matter. We trust that you will agree to play a pivotal role in this effort to push for the billions of dollars this territory can receive with success of this initiative. This concludes my presentation on behalf of GRUF. Members here present are willing to answer any questions you have relative to this matter. Specifically, GRUF Chairperson, Ms. Helen Hart, Treasurer, Ms. Barbara Isaac, and board members and retirees, Mr. Tito Francis, are here today and prepared to further expound on and clarify issues of concern. On behalf of GRUF, Government Retirees United for Fairness, I thank you very, very much for this opportunity to make the presentation. We trust that our GRS board will approve our request and fully support our efforts. We do look forward to hearing from you in the very near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Barry. Seems as though everyone is doing the work that should be done by the legislature. If I could have written you a check for $110,000, I would do it right now.
But we don't want you to just to comment. We clearly said, don't give us the money. We want you to issue the check. Just want to involve in how it's spent. We don't want them.
I understand.
Oh, he was giving it to you? Okay.
Don't refuse any money, right?
No, just to protect everybody, GRS would, and that's what I want to make clear. GRS would write all the check. Don't give us anything in our hands.
We trustees first, so you want
Okay.
Trustees in St. Croix, any comments, any questions? Or Ms. Barry, the members of GRUF?
Okay,
At the
this is the
point-
first this is Dr. Cohen. This is the first I've heard of this. I'm wondering if other entities such as the government and Governor Bryan have heard of this yet?
Talking
I've heard
specifically
of what?
about presentation.
Yeah.
Of this proposal of the incentive redirecting the promised or unspent gas tax or redirecting.
Okay,
I don't understand.
I don't understand the question because
State your name for the record.
Senator Stedman Hodge. I'm sorry?
Ms. Isaac, can you state your name for the record before you start to talk?
I'm sorry,
please?
Barbara Isaac. Senator Stedman Hodge was the senator that proposed this initiative. And it was voted on by all the members of the Senate to go after this money. I think the Senate even appropriated some money to hire a lobbyist when the time comes to go after this money, to help lobby for the money. In addition to that, the proposal asked the delegate to Congress and the governor of the Virgin Islands to support this initiative. And Senator Hatch called Gruffin to ask us if we would also like to support the initiative. And anything to save the system and save our pension and our way of life, we are willing to step up to the plate too. So yes, the governor is aware of it. Yes, the senators are aware of it.
Like Tito Francis, however, nobody presented this particular proposal.
But that's to us.
So the answer is no for this particular proposal.
Understood. Anyone else? Trustee Brewery, Trustee Liger, any questions?
I would just like to congratulate GRUF for
You need to speak up.
I'd like to congratulate Goff for at least stepping up to the plate to be involved in finding a solution to what is obviously a looming crisis for us. Quite often we hear people speak of the problem, and we don't usually hear people talk about solutions. So my initial response is that to congratulate Goff for stepping up to the plate and trying to volunteer their assistance in trying to move this forward. Clearly, we know that's going to be an uphill battle. We've been to court before on this matter some time ago, and they were lost in the court. So I'm assuming that this initiative is geared towards Congress. It seems to me kind of fruitless to go back to the court system. And the way Congress responds is to citizen involvement, and so my initial response is positive. So I'm certainly willing to give some serious consideration to the proposal. So we go from there.
Can I say something? The delegate to Congress, and my name is Barbara Isaac. The delegate to Congress has drafted legislation, HR 4198. Apparently that's what it's called in Congress, to the House of Representatives. And she's asking that the language also be changed. We wrote her a letter indicating to her, because what she had put on her HR was that the effective date be December 31st, 2019, that only includes line 3. And we wrote to Delegate Plaskett, and asked her to change the date so that the retroactive money with Hess and Hovenza is what we're after, not future money. We want some of the back money. Okay, so just to clarify that.
Understood.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Excuse Francis. Mr. Chairman, you said that it looked like we're doing the work of the legislature, right? And they set up all the time, but they also said that we do the work of the GS board also. You know? so we really hope that they all really consider coming in with us and doing this thing. Just like we hoping that the legislature do the same thing. We're just talking about perception.
Yeah. Perception is not reality, though.
That's true.
Okay.
And TMC. No, but yeah.
Again. The role of this system is not to find money, to administer the funds that are given to us. So we also have been going out there trying to find money.
But the situation right now, Dr. Calendar, I know sometimes the board and the administrators and the legal counsel don't think that we want this problem solved. We do. So we are willing to do anything we can to help save the system while keeping intact our annuity and our way of life. None of us wants to face the prospect of a cut in our annuity. None of us want to, because our lifestyle will change. So we are willing to do what we have to do to fight, to lobby, to do whatever we have to do to ensure that our way of life is preserved.
Understood. You're itching to say something.
No, wasn't it? Unlike the past, and I was going to say something similar to Gruff. Miss Call was speaking.
Okay.
It is a belief by some people in our community that the members of the board aren't taking the situation with the system as seriously, or not doing everything that we can do.
I am the only member on the board who is not a retiree. I am a potential retiree in short order. All of our board members are part of, I think, except Mr. Maynard and Smith, but most of our board members are retirees, receive annuity from this system. So their funding is tied. I am looking forward to joining the ranks of the retirees in short order. I also, in my home, have a person who relies directly on her annuity. So the system is important to us because, as the term in the States and for most of the pension boards, we have skin in the game. So we take everything that we do extremely seriously and we work diligently because it is our money. Unlike some other systems where they have the professional trustees and others who are managing funds for other people, we are managing money that belongs to us. The employees in the system are part of the system. Anything that happens affects their retirement. Attorney Smith and I are supposed to go out around the same time. So we're an Attorney Myers. We all came in around the same time. So our retirement hinges, our collection of annuities hinges on what we do as a board at this present time. So we have skin in this game. So we had to make sure that we try to explain this, that when the decision that we make affects us personally as well as our neighbors and our family members. So at no point do we want people to continue to believe that we're not doing, they say the board doing this, the board is doing anything that we do affects us personally.
All right.
Ms. Moorhead.
Okay.
Ms. Moorhead asked you.
Ms. Moorhead, a question?
You think so? That's why I think her hand was up.
Ms. Moorhead, you have a question?
Well, if it's possible.
I'm not going to stop you. We're
Okay, thank you.
Retirees time.
Now, listening to the proposal, I concur with Mr. Barry, Member Barry, that it's commendable for the organization to come with a proposal, but I am concerned is that what is their standing in looking to secure this money over the executive and legislative branch, who I think I see the executive as being the one with standing to go for the money, and I don't trust that the executive branch, even if they're successful, would pass the money on to GRS, given the fact that everyone just agreed in the change of distribution of the 7 million that GRS was getting previously. So while I agree with the proposal to try to get taxes, I don't see that we should risk the annuity of any further monies of the GRS to go after something when we're not guaranteed to get a return. And we're not guaranteed to get a return because GRS nor GRUF has any standing in the fight. That's all I wanted to put on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, Jeanette Smith Barry. I just wanted to be able to clarify that the position of GRUF is that the money won't be returned to the Virgin Islands, not returned to GERS, that it be returned to the Virgin Islands as prescribed by law. And then, yes, it is the responsibility of our government to make sure that some of that money goes to GRS. And the second thing that I want to say is that GRUF is not concerned about being the individual, the group, the entity to just go before Congress. We understand that this is, in terms of having standing, it has to come through our executive and legislative bodies. They have to play a key role in that.
Can I say something to Dr. Davida? In addition to that, we met with Senator Hodge, Barbara Isaac. We met with Senator Hodge. He called us in, as a matter of fact. When they first passed, I was trying to think of the name, I'm getting forgetful. It was a resolution in the form of a bill. That's actually what it's called. He called Gruff in to meet with him, the executive board. And we talked at length. A lot of the documentation that we have, that we use to write letters to the executive branch and all the senators and the delegate to Congress, we got from Senator Stedman Hodge. So we're not working in isolation. I almost feel that we feel, and I think they may feel also, that it should be a collaborative event, undertaking. It's not gruff. We don't want any credit. The only concern we have, and I think I speak for all our members, is that we keep our pension and we keep our way of life. So whatever we as a group could do to ensure that, that's all we're interested in. Not publicity and who takes the credit. The governor could take the credit, the delegate, Congress could take the credit, GERS could take the credit. That's not what concerns us. The only thing we're concerned about, trust me, is that we don't have to take a cut in our pension to change our way of life. That's our bottom line. That's all we're interested in. So we're not competing with anybody. We just want to help. We want to help move it forward. You know? Because if I trust Judge Vaughan Hatch, and he has always felt that the money belonged to us. If you call him now, he'll tell it to you. He always felt that money belonged to us. So that's all we're interested in, not publicity. Nobody has to call our name. That's okay. We just want to make sure we could preserve our annuity and preserve our way of life. And we're willing to work with anyone. We're willing, if we have to form a committee and involve people from GERS to work with us, to help us execute it, that's fine. We don't want the money. We don't want it. GERS would write the checks. We just want to make sure, and I'm going to keep saying it, to preserve our pension and our way of life. That's all.
Mrs. Isaac, I've heard you saying that for years.
Yes.
I know. I understand.
Yes.
So Nip, you had some comments?
Yeah, this is, to me, in my opinion, this is something that has to be at the executive level. Yesterday I met with the governor. The governor indicated to me 2 weeks ago he met with Treasury. And he spoke to Treasury about this same issue. He also spoke about the additional rum cover-over monies coming in with additional distillery rates. He also spoke about GERS. He told me that they were receptive, you know, no commitments, but they were receptive. Obviously, he has a long way to go. What he wants to do is develop a working group. He even asked me what the name should be. I said GRS Solvency Working Group. Who should be involved? He agreed that the two retiree groups should be involved. He will be involved as the leader. The board, some board members will be involved. The Senate will be involved. You know, so I think this needs to come before him. Maybe, you know, somebody can send him a copy from your group so he would know that you were, you know, getting involved in it. But nothing is going to happen with Congress without the governor's buy-in.
Right, of course.
So since he's now ready to implement a formal working group, this need to be, you know, given to him and discuss it with him.
After we met with Senator Stedman Hodge, we wrote the governor.
Okay.
Lengthy. We wrote all the senators, and we wrote the delegate to Congress. As a matter of fact, she got 2 letters from us, because after Senator Hatch shared the HR bill with us, and we realized that she wants it to start with Lime Tree, we wrote to her with justifications why she should take off December 31st, 2019, so that the retroactive money is really what we after.
Okay.
You know?
Well,
so
since he has approached Treasury, like he said,
and I agree with you,
and he wants to submit, he wants to create a working group, and I think
we'll
maybe you
submit
need
a
to
copy
address
of
it.
this. Yes, we will. In addition to what we have done.
Awesome. Thank you. This is very, very well appreciated and well presented.
Anything else?
So we expect to get official word or something y'all ready to beat it out?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I like to talk sometimes, but let me just leave with one last thing is that to help to push for this, and I'm going to use that language, to push for this, we've been spending a lot of our money over the years. We've really spent a lot of money. I would say almost upwards to $100,000 because we had to pay Attorney Arellano to get that other money back and everything, $50,000, fundraise, whatever. We can't do it on our budget. That's what needs to be done. And this is why we ask for GERS to buy in to what we're trying to do. In along with what the governor wants to do, what the senators wants to do, and what Honorable Stacey Glassett wants to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Very sensitive, said that they can do what you said. Look at that.
I think she's a full shit.
It was just an opening. It was just that. It was to present an opening.
You're welcome. You're welcome to speak.
Yeah, I kind of really like to know what goes on in here.
I'm not aware that you can watch it.
No.
This thing is nice. I mean, you're never home, so I'm talking about you. But you're never home, but we're talking about other people. You can watch it from home or from when you're because it's live up to a section. I'll make sure I know that it's never shut off to anybody.
I know.
Okay, I need to. Look, no. Oh, okay. Don't sit so close to the teacher I say you must know how to separate yourself from the children who get you in trouble. What's next? I need to go make this call.
Okay, so
Mr. Dave's report?
now secretary's minutes. So we continue with the meeting. We need approval of the secretary's minutes for the meeting held on January 29, 2020. Any corrections, additions, deletions? If none, then I need a motion for approval.
I move to accept the secretary's minutes.
Okay, I'll second that.
That was Ms. Carwood?
Yes.
Trustee Carwood,
Yes.
Trustee Barry,
Yes.
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Trustee Liger,
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Smith, absent. Chairman Calendar,
Yes.
Chair 5, yes, 2 absent.
And the minutes have been approved. Communications and correspondences.
Bear with me, some of this stuff. Letter dated February 21, 2020, Austin L. Nib, CPA, CGMA, Administrator, Government Employees Retirement System, GRX Complex, 3rd floor, St. Thomas, VI 00801, via email anibcpa@usvigrs.com. Dear Mr. Nibs, the Committee on Government Operation, Consumer Affairs, Energy, Environment, and Planning invites you to testify on Bill number 33-0276, an act amending Title III Virgin Islands Code, Chapter 27, Section 718 and 767 relating to financing of the Government Employees Retirement System, to require the Government Employees Retirement System to seek approval from the Legislature of the Virgin Islands before raising member contribution rates. The committee meeting is scheduled to take place on Monday, March 2nd, 2020 at 9 a.m. at the Virgin Islands Cardiac Center in St. Croix. Upon receipt of this letter, please contact Ms. Michelle Messer, Chief of Staff, at 340-712-2234 to confirm your attendance. I am kindly requesting that you submit your testimony via email to mmesser@legvi.org no later than Thursday, February 27, 2020. Your appreciation in this matter is appreciated. Your cooperation in this matter is appreciated. Sincerely, Alicia V. Barnes, Senator. Letter dated February 21, 2020, Austin L. Nibbs, Administrator, VI GERS 3005, Orange Grove, Lot 5, Christiansted, Virgin Islands 00820, via email anibcpa@usvigers.com. Dear Mr. Nibbs, on February 20th, 2020, during the Committee on Government Operations, Consumer Affairs, Energy, Environment and Planning meeting, several of my colleagues and myself had questions regarding the sale of Carambola Beach Resort, which unfortunately were not answered by the Chairman of the Board of GRS, nor the Board Council, or GRS's General Counsel. Through this correspondence, I am hereby requesting that you forward to the Committee on Government Operations, Consumer Affairs, Energy, Environment and Planning the following information. Did the Government Employees Retirement System, GERS, obtain ownership of Carambola Northwest LLC, and the process whereby ownership was obtained to include but not limited to the amount of the outstanding debt by the previous owner to the GRS and the name of the said owner. Did the Government Employees Retirement System listed the Carambola Beach Resort for sale, the name of the listing broker, and the listing price for the property. The criteria used to determine the sale of Carambola Beach Resort, and during what board meeting was this decision made. The appraised value of Carambola Beach Resort, the name of the real estate appraiser that conducted the appraisal along with appraisal date. The percentage of damage to the Carambola Beach Resort property from Hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017. The amount of insurance proceeds received for damages from Hurricanes Irma and Maria, and what amount, if any, was received from any federal agencies for recovery for hotel hurricane damages. The status of the property when it was sold. For example, was it being rented, leased, occupied? What was the occupancy level and the rental lease occupied rate that was being charged? What was the staffing levels post Hurricanes Irma and Maria? The purchaser of the Carambola Beach Resort, and what was the price that the purchaser paid to the Government Employees Retirement System? How much cash was received from the purchaser and when? The date that the Government Employees Retirement System relinquished ownership of the Carambola Beach Resort. Kindly provide the requested information by February 28, 2020. Your prompt attention to this request is anticipated and appreciated. Warm regards, Alicia V. Barnes, copy all senators. Letter dated February 25, 2020. Austin L. Nibbs, Administrator. Government Employees Retirement System, 3005 Orange Grove, Lot 5, Christiansted, Virgin Islands 00820, via email anibcpa@usvigers.com. Supplemental request. Dear Mr. Nibbs, on January 20, 2020, during the Committee on Government Operations, Consumer Affairs, Energy, Environment and Planning meeting, several of my colleagues and myself had questions regarding the liquidation of assets owned by the Government Employees Retirement System. To our frustration, those questions have left unanswered, and a cloud of ambiguity exists relative to the liquidation of GRS's assets. Through this correspondence, I am hereby requesting that you forward to the Committee on Government Operations, Consumer Affairs, Energy, Environment and Planning the following information. Itemize list of tangible assets currently owned by the Government Employees Retirement System to include property, building, equipment, art, precious metals, stocks, and bonds. Include the address, location of each tangible asset, and if said asset is being leased, rented, loaned, include the name of the individual or entity that the asset is being leased, rented, loaned to, and the value of same. Itemized list of tangible assets that have been liquidated in from January 2015 to present, the appraised value of the asset, the appraiser's name and contact information, the listing price of the asset, the purchaser's name and contact information, the amount paid to GRS from the purchaser, and how was the proceeds from the liquidation of the asset utilized. Kindly provide the requested information by March 2nd, 2020. Your prompt attention to this request is anticipated and appreciated. Sincerely, Alicia V. Barnes, Senator. Copies, all senators. That ends my reading of the correspondences. Fine.
Are you going to be able to respond by the deadline, Mr. Lynch?
I began to accumulate all the information. It's very tedious. I have for Carambola a few questions I have for the corporate counsel, and he's going to respond to me today. By and all, I have all information. I worked on it last night also. So if corporate counsel get back to me today, he did text me this morning, I should be able to respond to them by tomorrow. And for both responses, for both requests, I should be able to respond by tomorrow, close of business. There are a few other pieces of this one, I believe. There's a letter from Pew Capital. Mr. Chairman, I don't think I need to read this in. It's just letting us know that there was an addition to their team, chief operating officer. It's very lengthy, and I don't think we need to read that in the record. What I'll read into the record, no, I think I'll hold this also, the other one regards from the Department of Tourism. We need to discuss this probably in executive session. Okay?
All right, anything else? That's it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Names. Chairperson.
Excuse me, Mr. Names, what did you say about the letter from Pew Capital?
Pew Capital, do you have it in front of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pew Capital is one of our fixed income managers, and they are introducing the chief. They have they're telling us that a person by the name of Scott, G-R-E-I-W-E, will officially retire from Pew Capital. This is someone that was on their team. And our chief operating officer, Jean David Larson, has worked alongside Scott, and she's going to be able to take up his responsibilities.
Basically introducing the new staff, Marissa Grant,
Correct.
Who's going to be the senior investment strategist.
Well, you mean, should I read it? Huh?
Oh, okay, I saw it. Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't clearly hear what you said about it. You said.
What I said, I asked the board, I don't, not to read it into the record. We can keep it just for our files, because this is something that happens, all the time.
Is this, or maybe this is something for a discussion in executive session, but is this an opportunity to review their performance?
Glenville Henderson, investment analyst. Pew has been one of our best performing managers. We've known for some time that Scott was planning to retire, and this was just the transition, basically, of him retiring and being replaced. So we don't have any concerns. Our consultant doesn't have any concerns on it either.
Okay.
I'm not sure, Trustee Barry, just want to bring you up to date. The board used to have a meeting with all our managers every year. Once a year, all managers would come down, and about 2 or 3 days, and we would have meetings with them. They would give their overviews, and we would ask them questions. We discontinued that 2 years ago because at that time we had 17 managers. Then it was reduced to 11. Presently, we only have 3 managers left. Pew is one of them who performs very good. So investment analysts and the consultants are constantly reviewing their reports and in contact with them. So I don't see any due diligence needed. We did do a due diligence one time out in Seattle.
Yes.
They are located in Seattle. And now we have met with them many times when we're on the West Coast. They have came to conventions, and we have met with them, individually, and we spoke with them about their performance, and so we don't have any problem with them at this time. As a matter of fact, very soon, depending if there's not a large infusion of cash, we would have to liquidate them.
Thank you, Mr. Nims. Chairperson's report. I have equivalent of a book to read. So, on February 8, 2020, I had a meeting with representatives of the Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company. I was accompanied by Board Counsel Attorney Pedro Williams. The meeting was held in an attempt to seek ways to fund the system. Information will be given to the administrator for him to follow up with the representatives of the insurance company. On February 20th, 2020, I testified before the Legislature's Committee on Government Operations, Consumer Affairs, Energy, Environment, and Planning. Attorneys Pedro Williams and Caddy Smith, counsel to the system, accompanied me. Purpose was to testify on a particular bill dealing with the qualifications of board members. The legislators took the opportunity to dual motion in the sale of Carambola and investment issues that were not issues about which we were prepared to testify. We did not do well. It was an ambush. I want to apologize to the other trustees and to the staff who worked so diligently to keep the system afloat. It is an election year. Every senatorial candidate during the last election cycle campaigned on the promise of fixing GERS. Nothing significant has been done since their swearing in. Their display was a ruse to deflect from their inaction by portraying GERS as a culprit. I have no intentions of being made a scapegoat for their failure. Let me address some of the issues discussed at the meeting. Senator Sorrow asked me if I had read the Fidelity report. My response was no. So that everyone understands, I went and I did research to find out about the Fidelity report. There were 2 reports I found. One, the Fidelity Financial Company had a report where they were inviting owners to establish retirement systems with that company, and it would have been defined contribution systems. And the other report had to do with an annual report that is done by all financial companies for their shareholders. This report had absolutely nothing to do with GERS. It was not a treatise on investments, on financial management, or the equivalent of investments 101. So the impression there was that I didn't even know the basics of investment. Had nothing to do with that. I am certain that few, if any, of the senators had read any fidelity report. The only reason for reading that report would be if one had investments with Fidelity Financial Group. I also asked 3 consultants if they had read the Fidelity report. They had no idea what I was talking about. I was also asked if I knew how many points the stock market had gone up since the start of the Trump administration. I knew that the market had increased, but the exact figure, surely I did not think that I needed to know that. So I subsequently posed the same question to 3 financial consultants. They all told me they would have to research the question. For sure they knew that that it was not the inflated number stated by the senator. The answer depends on a variety of factors, and the answer would not have been germane to our system that is only 27% funded. One consultant finally gave me a figure of 55.54%. So the numbers quoted by the senator, which was in excess of 100%, was an outright fabrication. The senator was not being honest when she said that the board did not have any discussions with the sole appropriating body of the government. On November 25, 2019, the GIs held a meeting at the St. Thomas headquarters where the governor and members of the legislature were in attendance. In addition, the legislature has been receiving annual reports regarding the status of the system. GERS does not receive an annual appropriation from the legislature, and we have in fact on numerous occasions asked the plan sponsor to adequately fund the system. I wonder how many senators have read the Mercer report, a report commissioned by the government of the Virgin Islands, on one that is relevant to the GERS. Did Senator Sorrow read the Pension Reform Task Force report of 2013? For many years, Carambola's income statement showed that the hotel had negative cash income, had negative net income. Each year, GES would have to provide additional cash during the off-season in order for the hotel to operate. The hotel was severely damaged by the hurricanes in 2017, and it was officially closed because it did not meet the Marriott standard. Monies were spent to make it habitable for the federal employees who did not require the usual amenities. The staff was decreased, and the government rate received allowed the hotel to make a profit. That entire situation was an anomaly, and it was not expected to continue once the contract with the feds had been terminated. In addition, for the resort to continue flying the Marriott flag, Carambola Nortes would have had to invest a minimum of $12 million in a mandated phase 1 of a property improvement plan. Additional monies would have been required in phase 2. It made absolutely no financial sense to invest additional funds in this hotel. As stated by the Daily News, the Carambola sale was a failed sale, and I have no idea what that meant. To us, it was an appropriate sale of a poorly performing asset. In addition, Carambola was minuscule in the GIS's overall investment scheme. Board members are not employees of the system. They meet monthly and on occasions for committee meetings. They should not be expected to remember details of a transaction that had occurred within 7 months. Senator Bailey asked what the $50 million loss in the Atlantis investment that occurred in 2006 would be worth today. The answer is a large amount. The legislature passed 9 unfunded mandates from 1983 through 2001. The U.S. Inspector General estimated that the GERS had lost $121 million in contributions because of one mandate that occurred in 1994. GERS did receive $31 million through legislative appropriations, resulting in a net loss of $90 million in contribution to the system related to that one mandate. What does Senator Verley believe that $90 million loss in contributions from 1994 plus the lost contributions from the other 8 mandates would be worth today, considering the successes that the system has had with its investment portfolio? In 2006 to September 2019, the system had investment gains of $670 million. Its overall return since inception of the portfolio is 8.7%. Not bad for a group that has no knowledge about investments and continues to give away the people's money. The performance of the stock market on the last 3 days, 224 and 225, supports the system's action not to place all of our liquid assets in high-risk investments in the hopes of making a killing. The system cannot invest its way out of this crisis. We have to manage the risk to our limited assets. Maybe the legislature should hire a financial consultant to advise them instead of criticizing what is being done while taking no action regarding solving the system's financial problems. Trustees have the responsibility to take action necessary to protect the plan and ensure continued payment of benefits to current and future retirees and beneficiaries. The idea of placing individuals with greater expertise on the board without providing additional funding is ludicrous and suggests that these legislators who are pretending to be experts in investments and other financial matters are demonstrably naive. Placing the top 7 investment gurus in the nation on the board and not providing additional funding will result in what is presently anticipated: insolvency. Let me end with a summary from GIS investment consultant Makita Financial Group, who we are paying a paltry sum of $125,000 annually. Between the fiscal years 2017 and 2019, the system had gains of $132.9 million, but showed a net cash flow of negative $240.6 million. Makita also stated, or the actuary stated, that in the absence of any contribution and no changes at all in the system would have to have a return of 22% per year for 20 consecutive years. And that, of course, is unattainable. Looking at the decades from the 20s to the 90s to presently, no decade has had an annual return of 20%. 20%. The highest has been 18.7%. So again, our issue with this system has to do with lack of funding. End of my report. Any questions, trustees? And I did send you Makita's analysis.
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
As you know, as I in my life, I spent a lot of time before the legislature. And one of the things I've learned over time is when to recognize when they're talking to you or they're talking to the cameras in the audience. And so that I think determines how we respond. As you say, it's an election year, and somebody have to face the question, having promised the last time to do something about the GRS problem, somebody will be faced with having to explain what have you done. And of course, the scapegoat is going to be you. So I think you gave your presentation, and my reaction as I sat and listened that you're preaching to the choir. And we're going to have to figure out how we preach to the same audience that they're preaching. And in that respect, we might, a couple of things came to mind. One is that we could use GOF to help us fight the political party. You know, they have shown an interest in trying to help with the fight to get additional money. And we could use them to put the pressure on the senators to do something that's other than a promise. I also think that I would recommend that we as a board prepare a background paper on the justification for the sale of pro bono. With the same arguments you're making to us here, we could make them to the other audience. And whether we have to pay to print it or to publicize it, that's fine. But as you say, you were ambushed, and I listened to most of that hearing. And the fact of the matter is that what the folks outside are going to remember is that hearing. So I think we need to, I would recommend that we put together a solid, and if we have to pay, as I said, to publicize it, justification for the sale, background for the sale, or whatever, however we want to name it. The other thing, I'd also suggest that we also do something similar for our investment portfolio performance. As one of the things that we always hear outside is that how poorly we do in investing, and of course, they always point to the one or two investment that don't work, and we don't hear anything about the ones that work. I recall there was a time when the GRS could not have invested in some of the things we're investing in now. And GRS is limited to investing only in A-rated bonds and A-rated.
There are limitations.
Huh?
There are limitations.
Yeah, there are limitations. And I recall also that the legislature is the one who relaxed those limitations to allow investments in more risky portfolio. The rationale, of course, was that if you invest in more risky portfolio, you increase your return, and therefore absolve them of the responsibility for increasing the contribution. So the answer for fixing the shortfall in contribution was to increase the return on investment as opposed to increasing the government's contribution. And we all know the basic finance and economics that increase return come and increase risk. And so we need, I think, to clarify that notwithstanding the investments that didn't work out, the overall, what has been the overall performance of the investment. And that's the only way you can judge investment. You can't judge investment on individual approach. You have to judge it on the overall performance of the whole portfolio. So I suggest that we also have prepared an analysis and a report on the performance of our investments.
What is it?
And see how that matches up against the whatever measures that people use to judge your performance, whether it's performance in the stock market, S&P 500, or whatever. And I also publish them so that we begin to stop or reverse this assault on the board for what is considered our failures and shortcomings. That's my recommendation.
All right, go ahead.
Carol Callwood. Trustee Barry, you're correcting some of the things, but we basically have done a lot of those. When I first came on this board, there was an assault all the time on what the board has done. And even Ms. Moorhead, she remembers that there was always some argument about what the board was doing. And one of my favorite people over there would always talk about the traveling bandits of the GRS board. And when, during the meetings, when the treasurer's report is presented, not the treasurer, but the financial officer's report is read, since I have come on board, the annuities paid out were almost, at the beginning, almost 50% more than we were collecting from the employer and employee, and have always maintained, and I've said it, you talk about the bad investments of the traveling bandits and the GRS board, but the shortfall in annuity payments compared to the income generated by the employee and the employer contribution comes from those same bad investments. I attended to support Dr. Callender. I attended the hearing, and not surprised in the manner in which it was done, because that's the norm. But the focus on the questioning and on the things, and then one of the senators recommended that maybe we should start looking at those higher risk investments because they have a potential for higher return. Within a few moments of that body complaining about the one risky investment that the GRS made many years ago that is still being brought up because it was a risky investment and it didn't pay out like most of our investments did, and they use it. Our community still uses it. Our senators use it every time they want to complain about the GRS board and investment. They mention the same investment. But now our senators are saying our choices are maybe a little too cautious and we may need to take a riskier investment for a higher return. The same body that complains about that one investment, because every time you hear them, they bring up the same one. So we have to make sure, and we try to educate them each time. All of everything that is presented here is public NAC, it's public record. The senators have access to it. Each month, through the communication, Ms. Morton and now whoever's in charge, the board, the community receives an update. Almost all of it goes to the mail and it goes through email, snail mail and email. In it always contains the investment information. And November of last year and in 2018, there was one completed that shares the full year and how this system has done financially for the year. Nothing, I mean, and one of the things Dr. Cohen and we have always talked about, and he says it again, we have to keep doing it. We have to bring it back out there. We need to go back out and meet. The complaint is we have town hall meetings, 7 people show up. I'm like, I don't care, but those 7 people are going to go back and tell 10. Somebody's going to get the information. So getting it out there, Trustee Barry, is something we try to do, but nothing that they have asked for, and most of the things that, apart from the background of Carambola, these are things that we've already done, we continue to do, and we hope that it was something that we'll always continue because it's open for everybody to see. So one of the things we have to, but we do have to fight that negative perception of what is happening, and it's just getting it out there, because I always maintain when facts are not shared and information is not given, rumors abound. I'm off my soapbox.
Any other comment, Trustee? All right. We have the administrator's report.
Thank you. Be very brief. On February 6th, I met with the architect for the roofing project at Havenside Mall. We're moving forward with that project. We are ready to send out the RFP for station of contractor. And yesterday, I met with Governor Bryan, who requested for me to meet with him. As of February 27 or 28 payroll, we have 180 applications for retirement that are pending. 17 were received in January 1, 2020. And, excuse me?
17 or 70?
180.
17.
No, you have 180 application for retirement that are pending, and 70 or 17?
People received from January 1 to 20 to present.
17.
17.
Okay. Thank you.
For the 180 that are pending, 84 are missing NOPERS or retirement NOPERS that have not came into the GRS. And for 2019, we received 308 applications. We completed 178 for a total of 124 that are still pending. Of that 124 that are pending for 2019, we for NOPERS and missing NOPERS. So as you can see, we're working diligently. I looked at the individuals who are being paid this month. Some of them retired in December. That means that we are down to like 60 days now. Hopefully to get it down to 5 days. However, the retirees need to make sure that the information is received by us prior to considering retiring. Our refunds from October 1, 2019 to January 31, 2020, we paid out $2.6 million. And And of that $2.6 million, we call regular or non-vested. Those are individuals that are not that vested and requested a refund. We had 170 cases. We paid out $2.6 million. As you can see, members, active members who are not vested are leaving the system. Paid out over $1 million in retirement benefits. I mean, not retirement, death benefits, I'm sorry, from October 1, 2019 to October 31st, 2020. We have
January 31st.
January 31st. October 1, 2019 to January 31st, 2020. Life certificates as of January 31, 2020, we have just sent out 96 letters to retirees who are residing off island. Is the Puerto Rico, Caribbean, International, and the mainland, to determine if where that they are still. This is something that we do every year. I mean, it's a hard thing to say, but this is what we do, because many times we have been burned. That retirees pass away, they're at the States or they're down in Eastern Caribbean, and we don't know. So what we have done is life certificates, which are done every 6 months. We also have a relationship with Social Security Administration, determine members have passed away. We also have a relationship with health insurance, life insurance, group health. As you know, that's the first place usually individuals will go, so we have a relationship with them. So we want to capture, because many times we have been burned many times. So some of the beneficiaries would say, well, I didn't know that we have to return the checks. You know, they thought it would keep coming until they die, and then they keep it. So we got to be very, very careful. So we have a lot of things in place, checks and balances, to make sure that doesn't happen. We're going to be sending out to disability retirees also 242 letters to them, because you know we have this retirees that go out on disability, and over the years we have found that some of them are still working and they shouldn't work. So we are doing some checks on that also. Some of them in the mainland, you know, and some of them are here, but and they, according to the code, they're supposed to show us if they're making any income, maybe produce a tax return.
It allows us to get the tax
Right.
return.
So we're trying to make sure that we cover our bases and stay within the the Virgin Islands Code. Weekly payments as of February 28th payroll, there are 8,712 retirees. 8,712. From October 1, 2019 to February 28th, 2019, because the payroll has already 2020, we have already made the payroll. We have paid out 106,371,358 with pensioners. We have at least three pensioners or 2 pensioners left. From October to February 28th, 2020, we have added to the payroll 142 retirees were added from October to present. And we deleted, meaning that 115 retirees passed on. So 142 were added, and in the same period, 115 passed out. And we are paying out $10.7 million every pay period. So it's over close to 2021, $22 million, coming up to $22 million a month. Our loan portfolio is reduced because, as you know, we discontinued and suspended the loan portfolio. As of January 31, we have 3,837 units in personal loans, retirees and active. And mortgages, we have 93 mortgages still in the portfolio. As you know, by 2025, all our personal loans would have expired. The terms would have expired. And according to some preliminary information. In total, right now we have about $45.4 million left in the loan portfolio. Of that 45.4, approximately $40 million left is active and retiree personal loans. And those should be, like I said, they would expire by 2024, 2025. Not have any more. Unless we receive an infusion of cash, the board may consider reinstituting the loan program. Okay? At the White House, we're doing some work at the White House, and we have to get that work done. I'm going to say that we're also doing some work at the New Havenside office that we established in the management office. If that is not coming and scheduled by the end of March, we will be using the White House temporarily until that is the contingency plan. St. Croix office are basically okay. They do have some minor leaks in the St. Croix office. Those are being repaired. There's the roof, the original roof, the original roof in St. Croix still has warranty, so we don't have an issue of having to take any monies out of pocket for that. Generators is being serviced, it's up to date on the service requirements. The projects as the gate operators, we do have an issue with the gates over in St. Croix. We need to get that done as soon as possible. We also plan to build our storage container. We plan to build infrastructure around the wall around the storage container. It looks very bad with the overflow of garbage. St. Croix complex, as you know, a lot of work is being done on the St. Croix complex. We have an exterior work going on, and this is something that been in the drawing board for a few years, and now we're getting it done. We do have some leaks in the flat roof area. The plan is to remove that roof. That's the original roof on this building, and the plan is to remove it and probably also get into some solar on the roof or around the property at a later date. Our lease agreements, all leases are current except for, or have executed leases except division of personnel. That thing that is pending with property and procurement. The Department of Justice is awaiting meeting dates. They're supposed to meet again. Casino Commission, the commissioners are reviewing the lease with their legal counsel and should get a feedback February 14th today. Ms. Clendenin, did we get a feedback from them as yet?
No, I left a message for Commissioner Richards.
Excuse me?
Oh, which one?
Sorry. It's Ms. Gums, Clendenin Gums. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I left a message for Commissioner Richards yesterday, and after this meeting, I'm going to walk down there and see if they've concluded their review.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mr. Nix.
That's a sister of Ms. Clendenin, DOP, do you want to say anything? I know that you have a lease with us.
We do. We're right now in talks with property and procurement. I believe my staff met as recent as yesterday. I don't have feedback at the moment, but once I do, so we are working diligently with property and procurement to get a new lease.
Yeah. For the retirees here, this is Dana Clendenin. She's the Director of Personnel. I was on the phone. She's also a member of the board, a non-voted member of the board, by statute, by the VI code. Okay? So the rental of electricity and the rental, we have, in January, we received $98,440.39. Rental, we received $63,719.72. Electrical, $34,720.67. Fiscal year to date, we have received for both rental and electric $489,842.08. We have arrearages as of January 31, 2020 of $132,200.11. Now, some of this have been paid in February. So in the report that I think Ms. Moorhead had asked the question about the arrearages, have some arrearages with justice and personnel does have some electrical arrearages. I see that they paid about $13,812 in February. So the arrearages in January, most of them have been reduced in February. Okay, Ms. Moorhead?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Lastly, conclusion, I want to give an update on Kazi Food of the Virgin Islands. You know, Kazi is one of our alternative investment program investments, and I just asked for an update because someone called me, I think it was you, Mr. Henderson, and said he had seen something where they were building a new KFC on the waterfront. But I got a report from them, so I'll give an update on the entire investment that we have. In St. Thomas, you know, the KFC in Fort Milner is back up 100%. The KFC in Subbase is back up. The Pizza Hut in Fort Milner has been built, you know, the move from Weekly Plaza. The new KFC will be at Captain Corner. It's under construction near Banco Popular on the waterfront. Also, as you know, they had a Pizza Hut on the waterfront that is being renovated. The landlord is in the process of doing the construction and renovations, and Kazi, which is KFC, will renegotiate the lease after completion. So there'll be two. There'll be a KFC on the waterfront by Captain Corner, by Banco Popular, and the Pizza Hut they're going to come back when it's completed. In St. Croix, KFC in Sunny Isle is up. KFC in Orange Grove is up. The KFC in Frederickstead is up. The Pizza Hut La Reine location was moved to Sunny Isle. So I haven't been in that area, but I'll go there when I'm back in St. Croix just to look and see what is going on. But the Pizza Hut has been moved, the La Reine has been moved to Sunny Isle. That ends my report, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
Proceed. Go ahead.
Could you give me a brief update on what's the nature of our investment in Kazi Foods?
Yeah, I think I have something. Initially, on September 30, 2013, that's when we made an investment in Kazi. After all due diligence was done, it was a project that was going on for like 6 months, probably or more. We invested $6 million, interest rate of 6.25% for a full term of 10 years. And they are up to date. They're one of the best performing, or the best performing alternative program that we've had. The only time they had an issue was after the storm. They had heavy damages and they had asked for a moratorium, and we did grant it to them, and they have paid up in full everything that was behind. So as of today, they are on up to date on all their payments.
So is it a loan?
Yes, it's a loan.
Oh, okay.
We consider loans or investments. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. That ends my report.
Trustees, any questions from an administrator? And thanks.
I have one or two questions.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Is this a place, Mr. Nibs, where you could tell us about the meeting you had with the governor? What was it about, and is it not for open session?
And I was going to do that in executive session. Because
okay.
Yeah. The only thing, like I said, Trustee Barry, is that we did meet and he did. I let the retirees know that he did bring up the gasoline excise tax, the gasoline tax, and he also said he pitched for GRS about a loan. Now he didn't say a loan for the plant sponsor. That's what I understand it to be. It's not going to be GRS going to be the one paying back the loan. The plan sponsor will be the one paying back the loan. So, but I have other things to discuss in executive session.
As it should be.
Yeah, I think it should.
I have another question.
Well, the reason I said that, because there's something he called me about this morning. It has to be an executive session, and some other things he discussed with me, I think, it needs to be an executive session.
Okay.
Could be legal stuff.
So, Liger, you're quiet over there today. Any questions?
Yeah. No question.
You okay?
Kazi and the Pizza Hut in Sunday Isle is doing pretty well.
Oh, okay.
It's good. It's good. So.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Committee reports.
Policy committee trying to finalize the board manual. We sent it to Attorney Smith for her review and final recommendations. Mr. Bowery, you received an email from Ms. Coley. By default, you have now been voluntold to join me.
Say again?
I said by default, you've been voluntold to join me. You got an email from Ms. Coley yesterday?
Not that I am aware of.
So please, about the policy committee.
Oh yes, it's on my phone right here.
Okay, so I'm going to call a meeting for policy committee next week. I'm going to check with you guys on your date, Dr. Calendar, yourself, me, and trust.
I'm on the policy committee.
Which policy is this?
Policy committee. You're now in the policy committee, so you're going to receive part of the. Ms. Coley will be sending you all policies for the board, but the policy committee works on revisions and creating, and we've done a few in the past 5 years. So we have one pending, which is the board manual, and it's been sent to you for review, recommendations. Attorney Smith has it for final review, and Attorney Williams as our counsel. So you have been voluntold to be part of that committee.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Trustee Bowie, didn't you get an assignment for
He wasn't
committee? Didn't you get your committee assignments?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
My recollection is that I'm on two. That's the budget committee and the investment committee.
For some strange reason, it seems as though Trustee Coward just put me in the policy committee, and
you're a de facto member. You've always been.
I can't.
But no. But this colleague sent you an email explaining what happened, so that's why you're now on the third. Because I lost two.
So you guys taking advantage of the new guys and
They did it to me, Trustee Bowery. They did it to me. We're just sharing the wealth. It was done to me. I think Dr. Cohen has had his share too.
I know what happened when you're a freshman.
Trustee Bowie, you haven't seen the end of it yet. I have some news for you that I'm gonna tell you privately.
You got lots of homework, sir. Sorry.
You're gonna be very soon. You're gonna be chair of a committee that you're already assigned to. And I feel
he knows which one it is.
You can suspect which one that's gonna be, right?
Yeah, the process of elimination.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you want to make it effective right now? Okay. So as of next week, you will be the chair of the budget committee, sir.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Thank you very much.
You've been up quick.
And with my pending departure, he's gonna have more work to do.
Okay. So the budget committee did meet, the committee that I am presently chairing, budget committee, met on the 18th of February. We did some preliminary work and we did not complete it in order to, our plans were to approve the budget and have it sent to the board for approval today. So again, Mr. Bobby, since you're gonna be the chair, you now need to call a meeting so we can get it finalized for sure and have it approved by next month, right? Yes?
Yes, I'll do that. But,
with the
I'm gonna need to have at that meeting, I'm gonna need to have Mr. Nibbs and the CFO.
Yeah, with the recommendation.
Right. Okay, not a problem.
Last meeting we had, there's a lot of questions that I had, and just to put everybody on notice that my preference would be to have the senior management present the budget to the committee.
Yeah.
As a
That's
by
the way
present,
I know what it used to be.
I saw that, you know, I have no idea when it was changed.
No, it wasn't changed. It didn't happen since I've been. That's all I know from finance that we did. It never did happen.
Okay, so then we'll just go back to where it should be then. Okay. Okay, so Bob, you can set up the meeting whenever you are ready.
Okay.
Any other committee reports? The treasurer's report?
Mr. Chairman, the CFO is out. Again, I have the honors of giving the treasurer's report. The schedule of receipts and disbursements for the month ending January 31, 2020. Loan repayments, $2,018,859 for the month of January. Fiscal year to date, $7,001,363. Rent from tenants, utilities, $32,617. Year to date, fiscal year 2020, $434,294. Rent from Haven Sites tenants, $644,419. Year to date, $2,153,153. Employer retirement contribution, $11,099,327. Fiscal year to date, $29,073,146. Employee retirement contributions, $5,823,596. Year to date, $16,338,734. Parking facility, $1,045. Fiscal year to date, $4,660. Miscellaneous, $1,334,289. Fiscal year to date, $2,131,273. Total collections, January 2020, $20,954,151. Fiscal year to date, $57,136,622. Disbursements. Annuity payments for the month of January, $22,207,392. Fiscal year to date, $88,211,440. Administrative expenses, $1,161,687. Fiscal year to date, $4,856,017. Personal loans, $46,982. Fiscal year to date, $135,000. Mortgage loans, $7,381. Fiscal year to date, $91,597. Retiree loans, $4,509. Fiscal year to date, $14,240. Auto loans, $3. Fiscal year to date, $12. No land loans. Refund of contributions, $485,155. Fiscal year to date, $3,647,072. Allotments to WICO management fees, $75,151. Fiscal year to date, $145,319. Total disbursement in January 2020, $23,988,259. Fiscal year to date, $97,100,697 for a net cash deficit in January 2020 of $3,034,108. Fiscal year to date, net cash deficit of $39,964,074. Ends the report.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Toussaint.
I have a question.
Sir.
Mr. I noticed a big difference in the rent from tenants between January of 20 and January of 19. January of last year.
Could be arrearages.
Oh, okay. And then the same thing for the miscellaneous.
Well, yeah, well, the miscellaneous includes, if you look at page 4, I think, of that report, it tells you what the miscellaneous is.
Okay, I'll check it out myself.
Yeah, okay.
And just for my own education here, the disbursements for personal loans, what's that?
It's not really a disbursement because, you know, we don't have any personal loans. And this is also on the same page as the miscellaneous. The personal loans is credit life and refunds because maybe they overpaid, so we pay them back.
Oh, okay.
Mortgage loans is the same thing, credit life and insurance. Retiree loans is credit life and refund. And the auto loans is credit life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, below here it says allotments to WICO management fees. What's that?
Well, it's not small because what we do, WICO submits a budget every year and the boards approve the budget. And we would allot them quarterly, give them quarterly advances to fund the operation of Havenside Mall, and also they get a fee of 6% on the rentals and any rent that comes in. This year, since we have not signed a management agreement with them, we're not doing that anymore. We told them we can fund them on a monthly basis. However, they didn't opt for that. So every quarter, they would send us a report and then we would reimburse them. And we will do that until the end of March.
Okay, let me understand this. So, WICO is a management company for Havenside Mall.
Yes.
Why are we paying their management fees?
Well, there has to be a management fee. Now, our contention is, and has always been, and we have solved that problem, some of the expenses that we were giving them outside of the management fee should have been in the management fees.
But I thought when you manage, okay.
I
have 5 condos I'm managing.
Yes.
Right? The agreement between those condo owners and myself is that of the 100% you earn, you keep 40% and you give me 60%. Right? That's how I understand my management is. If I am manager, out of that 40% I'm allowing you to keep, let's say on a monthly basis. That's where you do your advertisement, you pay your employees, blah, 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 blah. Why are we paying a management company fees?
Well, that's the way it is in the industry as far as malls. I know that, but I understand what you're saying. What you would have done, you have given them enough. We'd have come to an agreement. This is what I'm going to give you to run the mall. That's your expenses and everything. You run the mall. I understand what
the rest give me.
Correct.
To me, that's a kind of agreement we should have. That's just my opinion without taking more than a basic economics class. we don't need to begin giving a management company money.
But we're not
You
going to be
make
doing
the
that
money,
anymore.
you keep your percentage and give me my percentage.
We're not doing that anymore. Come April 1, GRS will be running the mall, so we're going to have a significant profit.
Okay.
That's, well, some profit because, you know, we'll be managing in-house. We'll hire somebody to be the manager, so management fee will be out.
Okay. I understand.
Okay. My classmate, you know.
That must be some class.
You hear what Dr. Khan say?
No.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Nipsey, you're his classmate. Dr. Khan said that must have been some class. Question.
Yes.
Mr. Nips, the employer contribution is almost doubled.
Yeah,
Is that?
Well, that came up with the governor also.
Yeah.
But I asked that question, I have some responses there. He was the opinion that he don't think they'd start paying it yet. I thought they were. However, I asked for the reasons why it was, that was such a significant increase. And there was a reason why somebody like Wang Louis and WAPO were behind and they made some payments.
So that was leading to my question. Is this a one-time?
Yes,
or is it going to be continuous? Because, I've always maintained that we pay out twice as much as we collect. With this, now, we're not. But is this going to be, that increase going to be a consistency?
Well, we have to go back and determine how much we're getting from the 3% increase. To determine that, but a lot of that stuff is some one time that came.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I was getting a little excited there. I was like, wait, so we're not going to be as far back. But then I said, okay, that because, the linguist said, the mathematician limitation, 3% can yield $5 million.
Right, correct.
Okay, so that's not a one-time shot. Okay. Dr. Callan?
Yes.
I forgot a question.
Yes.
Under miscellaneous,
Yeah.
it says the cost of living bonuses. Who gets that?
Those are the disability
For disability.
disability retirees by law. They must get, we couldn't touch that by law.
Even
According, I think it's 1.5% or something like that,
right.
right? Yes.
Even though the regular retirees don't get, they must get it.
But I mean, I thought the lottery bonus kind of helped out. Sorry.
No, that is the cost of living. If I have a choice, give me the cost of living.
But the board did it indefinitely. So if we get some large infusion, maybe it'll start up again.
Retroactive.
Why not?
Press your luck now.
You can't get you, don't ask for it.
That's what we told them.
Do you say no? You could never get nothing you don't ask for.
Any other questions? Okay. We need approval of the treasurer's report.
Mr. Chair, move that we approve the treasurer's report.
Give a second.
Ahmad?
Croy. Okay.
Trustee Colwood,
Yes.
Trustee Barry,
Yes.
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Trustee Liger,
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald, absent. Trustee Smith, absent. Chairman Callender.
Yes.
Chair 5, yes, 2 absent.
Okay. The treasurer's report has been approved. Investment officer. Yes.
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Uh-huh.
In reading to a set of minutes, I noticed that in the recording of the votes, you record the names of those who voted against or abstained, but not the names of the ones who voted yes.
Well-
I understand that the explanation is that the others voted yes.
Correct.
But I believe it is more important to list, for the minutes to list those who voted yes and those who didn't vote.
Okay, that is something, we don't have any problem with that.
Typically, when you have any kind of court case or anything, and you're looking to see the vote, you want the minutes to reflect those who voted yes.
But you must remember, Trustee Barry, we have a transcript. And usually we go to the transcript of every meeting, you know. But okay, I don't mind doing it, but we rely on the transcript when we have to do court cases.
Oh, okay, that's point, good point. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Anderson.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and other trustees. This is an update of the investment portfolio performance as of the end of, as of January 31st, 2020. So the total plan returned 1.2% for the month of January. Total equity returned 0.2% for the month and outperformed its benchmark by 30 basis points. Total fixed income returned 1.5% for the month in absolute terms, but in relation to its benchmark, the Barclays Ag underperformed its benchmark by 40 basis points. And total alternative 0.7% return outperformed its benchmark by 50 basis points. Sources of outperformance for the month was our Russell 1000 Growth Fund. It performed 2.2% for the month. As it relates to the monthly cash flow update of the investment portfolio, we ended the month at approximately 582 million. We raised no funds in the month of January. Since we're giving this update on the, February 27th, we haven't raised any funds in the month of February as well. But I do anticipate, Mr. Chairman, that we probably would have to raise some funds in the month of March to bring us back to the dynamic asset allocation targets. As it relates to, well, so if you look at the total planned activity for the month, we began with a market value of approximately 590 million. We had a net cash flow of approximately 15 million, which we drew down cash for benefits and expenses. We had income of about 777,000. We had a gain in the portfolio of roughly 6.5 million that brought us to that ending market value of approximately 582 million. And please note, I forgot to mention, please note that that market value excludes the member loans program and also our St. Thomas and St. Croix complex valuations. For the month, as it pertains to investment management fees, custodian and consulting fees, we've paid 51,000 for the month to date, 31,000 in investment consultant fees and 20,000 for the custodian bank. Fiscal year to date, we've paid $183,000. Investment management fees made up 80,000 of that. Investment consultant was 62,000, and 41,000 we paid to the custodian bank for their services. As it relates to securities lending, fiscal year to date, we've earned $470. So as you can see, Mr. Chairman and other trustees, our assets continue to decline as we continue to have to draw funds out to meet our benefit expenses. That concludes my report for this morning. Any questions I could happily answer?
Trustees, any questions?
There's one portfolio that you said had a 0.7% return. Which one was that?
0.7 would be the total alternatives. So that would include our local assets and also our private equity fund.
And did you say that outperformed your benchmark?
Yes, currently the benchmark on the alternative would be the S&P 500 plus 3%. So we've outperformed the S&P 500 plus 3% for the month ending by approximately 50 basis points.
What is the S&P plus 3%? What number?
The S&P 500 is the S&P 500, as you know, is the overall broad equity market. So for the alternatives, we've attained a benchmark of whatever the S&P made for that particular month, we would add 3% along to it. And that would be the benchmark that we would, that would be the benchmark that we would peg the alternatives to. So as you know, the S&P or the S&P was down last month. I think it was 0.1%, I believe.
The 0.1 plus the 3 would still put you above the 0.7. If you start a negative 0.1 and you add the 3%, you get a positive number, which would be higher than the 7%, 0.7% you had. No?
That is worse. Could be wrong on the S&P performance last month. I'll have to research and get back to you, trustee board.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Henderson, in the last time the Makita consultants were here, they talked about the dynamic asset allocation. At that time, they said we had $539 million in our investment portfolio.
Right, that would be at stage 3 level. I think that was minus our local assets.
You're right, and I'm just trying to find out if you remembered how the investments were allocated.
At that point?
I remember. I was going to see if you, maybe so you could understand where we have the money and
you talking percentage-wise?
Yes.
Okay, so I can't remember the exact percentage-wise based on the last report.
Okay, we had 17% in equities.
Okay.
61% in
fixed income.
Fixed income.
Right, and that included cash?
No.
Okay.
No. We had 19% in cash.
Okay.
And we have 3% in alternative investment.
Okay, so because as you know, with the dynamic asset allocation, in de-risking the portfolio, we are moving assets from the more riskier spectrum of the market to the less riskier. Because we come closer and closer to insolvency, the most important thing now is to be able to pay benefits and expenses, benefits to the members. And as you mentioned earlier, even at a 22% return over the next 10 years, we just can't invest our way out of the situation. We need an infusion of cash. So we've been reducing our riskier exposure, which would equity first, active equity, active fixed income, because we've been moving everything more into passive strategies. And at some point in time, if we don't get that infusion of cash, we'll also deplete those passive allocations as well.
I understood that. I just wanted to make sure that it's said so that our guests can understand, our members can understand why it's being done, and that we're not being foolhardy by, the consultant told me what the senators wanted us to do. We might as well just go to the casino and put everything on red or black, and hope that we hit.
Given the short horizon of the expected insolvency, is pretty much, I think we calculated that based on our current allocation, we're going to be expect about a 4.7% return going up unless we get a cash infusion based on our current allocation, which is below our target. But like we mentioned, at this point, insolvency is driving our allocation, not our need to outperform to meet future. 2023 is not a long-term target. It's pretty short. And if you see the fluctuations or the impact of the market for the past couple of days, I mean, it could be sooner than 2023. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but it could be sooner than 2023. So that is why the board's decision to establish the dynamic asset allocation and de-risk the portfolio is pretty much, was a great decision.
And it was recommended by our consultant. Yeah, we have to give, but I think was a good move on their part.
But I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to know, Mr. Nibbs, I know you said there are things you're going into executive session to discuss. You had meetings with the governor. The senators tortured you all last week, whenever.
Thank you for saying.
Is there a glimmer even of hope for anything? Is there anything percolating? Where do you go? When you have these meetings, is there a glimmer of hope?
Well,
or are we just cruising towards 2023?
Well, I was glad to hear the governor said that he had met with Treasury and GRS was discussed. And also he discussed the gasoline as part of getting, what they were trying to do is show that, look, we want a loan, we don't want a handout. However, we're doing certain things also to try to get revenues in. Okay? That probably could be used.
Who's saying we don't want a loan? The government?
No. We want a loan. The governor wants a loan. It's not a handout because you're not going to Congress to get a handout. You're asking them for a loan, just like GRS position was. This was not a handout. We're going for a loan. Okay? So what he's saying is that he's putting all the eggs in one basket holistically. He's looking at everything. GRS, he's looking at the gasoline, because he's talking to them about the gasoline excise, the gasoline tax, and using that to say, well, okay, if we get that, we may not need to come for a loan.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying?
Okay, I was
understand?
Slow.
Correct.
Up
So he's putting everything on the table. When we did a white paper, I don't know if we shared it with Ruff, but we did a white paper to the governor. Very lengthy white paper. I don't know if he shared it with Treasury, but he just wants to do everything in one basket and show them, look, these are the problems we're having. If we don't get some type of funding, this is what's going to happen to GRS. So, okay, if you gave us this gasoline excise tax back, and then he's looking at maybe some, Diageo is underutilized. By proof gallons, they're not produced. They have capacity to produce more. Maybe bring in some more distilled to get more rum cover over. Okay, so he's looking at that. That's why he also talked about putting a group together.
Okay, because you had spoken to us about this loan idea.
Yeah, but that was GRS. You see, we started a long time.
I know.
We have looked at more than one put together loan because based on our statute, we can do financing. So we started it up. We met 3 years ago with a delegate in DC, and we started the pitch for it. And the loan would have been GRS loan. We would have had to invest it into wise investments, and then we would have to pay the proceeds. We'd have to pay the loan down. We were asking for a 10-year exemption from waiver of interest and penalty and a low interest rate of 2%. So now the governor is taking the charge. It takes the pressure off of us, but we will be behind him. He's taking the charge now because there's no way you're going to get any action in Washington unless the governor is involved. Our national groups, we spoke to our national groups, we wanted them to be on board with us, and they said the same thing.
Yes.
They need the governor involved with this. So I think that's a start. And I was impressed that he did it.
Mr. Nibbs, may I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you didn't go ahead, you completed the white papers to get did you apply for it or you hold it?
No, we haven't applied for anything.
We can't apply.
We can't apply for it. The governor would have to be the one to go to Treasury.
So GRS did the white paper, it must go to the governor.
Went to the governor already, it went to the delegate, everybody has it. The legislature has it also.
Okay.
That's why we need to have this group.
So they have to be the ones to submit it?
Yes, the governor will.
Okay.
You sense it? Do you get a feeling that there's this urgency with him?
Yes, I
In
think.
your discussion?
Yeah, because
So the meeting will come like next month?
He keeps it. It's what keeps him up at night.
yeah, he keeps saying this is what keeps him up at night. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe if he has a few more sleepless nights, we can have these meetings by next month.
Yeah.
Okay.
What the other thing I wanted to ask, and I saw you when you won Alan Redfield's program, maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And one of the things that came up there was the government applying for a loan using government land, the land they own,
That was, yeah.
for a loan to help GERS. That's also came. But you know, one of the things, I think this is why people understand our motive. To us, things are moving slow. To me, 2023 closed. To me, this is 2020. And so, Gruff is saying, if you need help in doing some of the legwork, let us do it for you while we're still capable of doing it.
Right.
Because so that's all we're saying. Let us do some of the legwork for you to get this ball moving.
But not
it's the
just
same
Gruff
thing
only,
that
but
we
the
said.
Employee retiree group too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It has to be territorial.
Yeah, it has to be territorial because all of us benefit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of trying to tell the senator, we're not asking in isolate, and some of the legwork we can, because we have the time to do it. So let us do some of the legwork for you while we still can.
Well, we plan to have a
Yes,
town
we're not gonna be
meeting.
able to.
Plan to have a town meeting in St. Thomas and St. Croix in the next 2 weeks. I think the 10th is in St. Croix, and the 13th
It's March.
or the 12th is in St. Thomas at St. Thomas at the auditorium. We want you to come out. Maybe you can pitch your proposal there.
But who will be there to listen? I don't want to. We don't want to pitch to other retirees. No. We want to pitch to our elected leaders. That's the problem.
Well, like I say, either you can do this as a group, maybe schedule a meeting with them. You want to hold it here, you're welcome.
Would you schedule it for us? They're gonna listen
We
to
have,
us or no?
we started a working group with them, you know. We met how many times already? Twice.
Yeah, but what about us?
Well, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe then, well, next we can have you here.
We
You
can
got to
invite
be
you
able to sit to the table.
We can invite you to a meeting and you can do your presentation when we do that. I'll have to discuss it
We
with.
have to be able to sit to the table.
I'll discuss it with Senator Francis and make the arrangements.
Yeah, we have to be able to sit to the table because we do have something to offer. I think sometimes people think, I don't know what to think of us. But we feel we have something to offer.
Yeah.
Pooling all our intellectual abilities, what's left of it, we have something to offer.
Yes.
So, and they need to understand that. Put us to the table with you. That's all we're asking.
Okay.
I feel that, we started this process back in 2016. The problem is that the governor at that time was not supportive. So we actually lost 3-4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
But the solution in that case was to sell Havenside Mall.
The what?
I said his solution was to sell Havenside Mall.
That wouldn't be that.
And that's not in the table.
Okay. Can we move on to, you're satisfied? Okay. New business, ratified poll vote to extend Nikita's investment group contract.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, Mikita contract had ended, I think, last year. It was 3 years. It was a 3-year contract. It ended, and as you know, at that time we reduced the fee and everything because of the decrease in the investment portfolio. So their contract came up for in February 1, 2020. So we had a poll vote on February 3rd, and voting in the affirmative was Callender, Cohen, Calwood, and Smith. I think I heard from anyone else. So we had 4 yes. So now we asking for ratification to extend the Makita contract based on the agreement in front of you.
And the same terms and conditions as the prior contract.
Terms and conditions as the prior contract.
Yes.
So we're looking at this, doing this on an annual basis instead of 3 years like before. So,
And
asking to extend the term 1 more year.
And they've been working so far with other contract.
Well,
It expired February 1st, 2020.
Right, so need to get a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we ratify the poll vote to extend Makita Investment Group contract.
Until when?
February 1, 2021.
A year.
1 year.
I'll second that motion.
Give a deed of this one.
Trustee Carlwood,
Yes?
Trustee Barry,
Yes.
Trustee Cohen,
Yes.
Trustee Liger,
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald absent, Trustee Smith absent, Chairman Calendar.
Yes.
Chair 5 yes, 2 absent.
Thank you. To request for approval of appraisal cost for Estate Huffman, Nolleyburg, and Estate Coakley.
Last meeting, Mr. Chairman, I brought before the board, as you know, to amend the, remember we had indicated that if there was no major activity to our properties, we would do the appraisal instead of every 2 years, every 5 years. And I came back and I asked for a change in that because of the situation out there with that racetrack service station. As a matter of fact, in executive session, I need to discuss that. Call me.
I know.
But, so I contacted the appraiser and I told him, I thought I would have been able to convince him that he really didn't have to do a full evaluation. If he could just look at the property and determine if they think that there was any impact into the value because of that gas station being there. As you know, we had a problem with the gas station. We didn't know that it was going to be built there. And also they asked us to cut some of the brush back and they went further. We had to have DPR do a cease and desist. We had to do our, we had a surveyor come out and make sure the boundaries are correct because they wanted to, and they asked us to, you know, to sell them some property or something so they can have an ingress and egress. It's a whole lot of mess. But anyway, we want to make sure that our property has not been devalued in any way or what impact. So he's gonna have to do a full evaluation of the property because it's right at the entrance of our property. So he said that he would have to do a full evaluation. At the same time, I asked him, maybe we should do an evaluation of the Coakley Bay, because, you know, economic activity has increased in St. Croix, like feet coming in and things like that, so maybe we could look at that and see the value went up. But I have another intent is that maybe we should look at, depending on the value, we look at, because as you know, VI Housing Finance Authority has been approaching us to put housing development, so I need to get an approval just for the cost to do the two properties. These are the vacant properties, Estate Huffman, Nolleyburg in the west, St. Thomas, and in the east in St. Croix, Estate Coakley Bay.
Hoffman's in the east.
Now, I don't know
if
the
east.
Yes?
Hoffman is in the east.
West.
East. Hoffman is in the east.
Hoffman is in the east, I'm sorry.
Making you look bad.
I can move it. No, we don't need information.
Do we have to do any vote to change just for this property? Because, you know, we did it for the last property. Is it overall that because we made an amendment for Hoffman Nollyburg. Do we have to make the amendment for Estate Coakley Bay for the, instead of 2 years? Yeah, for
Does this
instead of 5
proposal
years.
include Coakley Bay?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
So Housing Finance want to build houses on both set of properties?
We could
I mean, put up units on both set of properties?
Yeah, but
Nollyburg and Hoffman and.
They've been interested, especially they wanna,
No,
yeah, because you know they have properties abutting the properties out there, our properties,
Right.
GRS properties. Yeah.
If you approve this, then you could just make mention that you're amending the prior resolution.
Okay.
Follow me?
So in the motion
be
has to also
to
include amendment?
approve this and amend the prior resolution.
But you guys take it at a high rate. Okay, that's all right. Cancel.
Authorizing the appraisal of Hoffman Nollyburg.
Mr. Chair, help us sit down because you have vote yes. Okay, you have vote yes. So, well, right, no. Sit down so you could vote yes. Mr. Chair, I move to accept the appraisal cost for Estate Hoffman Nollyburg and Estate Coakley Bay with an amending the resolution or previous resolution to include Coakley Bay.
Okay, I'll second that.
Thank you. Mr. Barry hand went up.
I was just wondering why we didn't just make a new resolution. So for me to be clear, the resolution on the floor now would be to approve basically what's in this letter, Mr. Nibb's letter. The effect of voting for this resolution that's on the floor is to give you approval to do the appraisal that's set out in your letter here.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay. Trustee Carlwood?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Cohen?
Yes.
Trustee Liger?
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald? Absent. Trustee Smith has joined us. Trustee Smith?
Abstain, I didn't hear those.
Abstain.
Yeah, the vote.
Chairman Calendar?
Yes.
The chair, 5 yes, 1 absent, 1 abstain.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Trustee Smith.
Can I ask a question? How much acres of land is Nollyburg and Hoffman?
120 acres.
And how much acres in Coakley Bay?
170.
107?
170. Overlooking Buck Island.
Those acres
Tell
out
me,
there.
Nollyburg and Hoffman is what again?
120.
None of those acres are in dispute with the New Herndon Church and what property out
No,
there.
they haven't came back. They haven't came back for the last 5 years. We are giving them 45 days to respond. They haven't come back.
Say that again?
They haven't come back in the last 5 years. We had a meeting with them. They did dispute. We had a meeting with them. We gave them 45 days to respond, and it's been 4 or 5 years now since they haven't come back.
Yeah, several years ago, they did assert that there was some dispute and they were supposed to research and get back to us in 45 days, as Mr. Liv said, and we never heard back.
We just didn't know when those 45 days were to begin.
Then the day we had the meeting.
5 years, you say?
That was a 20%.
Yes.
And if Housing Finance Authority wants to build units, are they going to take the full 120 acreage of Nollyburg and Hoffman?
We will not sell without a full 120.
Everything, right, okay. Okay.
There have been, requests for less acreage, but we don't want to do that, split it up.
Right.
Okay.
Request for approval of proposed startup cost for Haverside Management Office.
As you know, trustees, the board has has approved the management of, to manage the Havenside Mall internally. And there are some startup costs that we must have approved before we do any major things. We have the place cleared out right now. The electricity is on. The office is upstairs of building 3 where the Havenside Dental office was. Upstairs of the Chinese restaurant, upstairs of that, yeah. And it's been vacant for quite a while, but it was in bad shape, terrible shape. Electrical problems, plumbing problems, you know, we had a lot. Our staff worked on weekends, the maintenance staff, to clear it out. So we have to set up some adequate office. So we asking, and it's itemized as far as office design drawings, office equipment, because our IT is going to be supporting that office also, wire installation, air conditioning. Air conditioning was shot, so we have to buy a new air conditioner, furniture for the offices. The contractor, there was thought about doing it in-house. However, I don't think we'll be able to get it done that way, so we have to get a contractor. We have been in contact with a couple to send us some bids. Plumbing contractor, there were rotten cast iron pipes in there leaking. Electrician has to do some work. We have to put up new lighting. We have to change the ceiling. It's all shot. We have to put up some blinds also to the front for the heat. Although we probably would put some, what do you call it, the film over the windows, but I think we need to do some blinds that draws like these blinds here, also in that office. And signage. The signage was taken down by Wyco. It was, they wanted to sand the wood, but they told us when I went over there a few weeks ago that they're gonna put up a new sign because the wood wasn't the best. So we got to get the signage done. Also some requests, and that all came up to about 93,000. I'm requesting about, you know, good 10% leeway if there's any contingencies. I'm requesting approval of a not to exceed at this time $105,000 to set up the office at Havenside based on the proposed startup cost that before you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
I have a question that may have an impact on this, on the budget. On the organizational chart, you marked down that at the bottom in the middle, the landscaping contractor is going to be outsourced, but yet I'm seeing on the far right of this chart in blue, which is going to be the Havenside Mall, that there's a landscaping laborer.
That's two different things. The laborer is those people that collect the garbage and all of that stuff every day.
The raking.
Clean, you know, make sure the place is clean, they pick up the garbage. Okay, the landscaper is someone comes in and cut and beautify the place.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, I have a question. In regards to this 105,000, you have it itemized?
Yes.
What's gonna cost?
Yeah.
Each item?
Yes, ma'am. To the best of my ability, it's estimates. That's why I said not to exceed. And you know.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
We have computers to set up all the work.
No, I understand.
There's gonna be another cost.
It's worth 105,000.
Yeah, it's another cost is going to happen, but I'll discuss that in the executive session. That we don't need to look at because we have not finalized all the and dot all the I's and T's with Havenside, so we don't want to put that out publicly until we until we discuss it in house. So I'm just asking for requests not to. Request these items not to exceed $500,000 at this time. $105,000.
You tell you now. Mr. Chair, I make a motion for the approval of the proposed startup cost for Havenside Management Office NTE in an amount of $105,000.
Second.
Trustee Calwood?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
I have a question before, I mean, I think I'm gonna vote for this, but I need first to have a bigger conversation about what we're gonna do to get the site more. I understand that we've made a decision to take the management away from Whiteco. But I need first to have a conversation about how we plan to manage it.
Okay, we'll do that in executive session. I think we have an item on the executive session for Havenside to discuss.
Okay, good. All right. So, yes, I vote yes to this.
Okay. Trustee Cohen?
Yes.
Trustee Liger?
Yeah.
Trustee McDonald? Absent. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Calendar?
Yes.
Chair 6 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, motion passes.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to go into executive session.
2 seconds.
Second. Wait, no. Hold on, it's not part.
Anything else?
Thank you.
You okay? Thank you.
Trustee Calwood?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Trustee Cohen?
Yes.
Trustee Liger? Trustee McDonald absent. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Calendar?
Yes.
Chair 6 yes, 1 absent.
I just want to indicate that this portion of the meeting will be closed to the public for matters pertaining to
Thanks
trade
for coming,
secrets,
Karen.
financial or commercial information.
It's hard.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
supposed to
Madam
say something.
Chair.
Yes. You always. Mr. Dewens, you bring my stuff to sign. Sure she does. I never let you know. I was supposed to call because you know. She never called us to change the address.
And I don't think there was.
I hear from you in a month already. I glimpsed it already. Yeah.
There were a couple of them.
Oh, yeah, it's right.
Miss McBarry. Miss McBarry.
Coming back, changing.
You with this church thing all the time.
If I had to find out.
Emilio's church need a roof.
Yes.
Emilio's church need a roof.
Emilio's church need a roof.